For decades, we were taught to fear total cholesterol above 200 mg per deciliter, but modern research shows that number by itself is a blunt tool. In a huge study of 12.8 million Korean adults, the lowest mortality was seen in people with total cholesterol around 210 to 249 mg per deciliter, higher than the often cited 200 mg per deciliter cutoff. Similarly, a Danish study of 118,000 people over 50 found that those with higher total or LDL cholesterol actually had lower death rates than those with lower cholesterol. In short, having total cholesterol slightly over 200 isn't necessarily dangerous if it's balanced by good HDL cholesterol. Focus on the total number alone misses the real picture. As I've explained in my previous cholesterol video, the critical issue is how cholesterol is carried in the blood, not just the sum total. Total cholesterol simply adds HDL and LDL together. So two people with the same total can have very different health risk. For example, someone with total cholesterol of 220 mg could be lower risk if their HDL is high and triglyceride level is low, while someone with total cholesterol of 180 but high triglycerides to HDL ratio and many small LDL particles is at higher risk. In fact, studies show that particle patterns and ratio predict risk far better than total cholesterol. For example, the number and size of LDL particles really matter. Many small, dense LDL particles greatly increases risk, while larger LDL particles are more protective. Likewise, having lots of HDL, high HDL lowers risk. Because of this, newer test measures LDL particle counts or ApoB, each atherogenic particle, and non-HDL cholesterol, which is total minus HDL, and these outperform LDL cholesterol alone in predicting heart disease. So rather than total cholesterol, holistic health experts now emphasize specific ratios and lipid markers. And here are the key ones. First is total cholesterol divided by HDL ratio. So the total cholesterol to HDL ratio is a commonly used marker to assess cardiovascular risk. Optimal levels are 3.5 or lower. Anything above 5 is associated with an increased heart disease risk. Then we have the triglyceride by HDL ratio. A high triglyceride to HDL ratio is a red flag for metabolic trouble. Elevated triglyceride with low HDL are classic signs of insulin resistance and metabolic syndrome. A recent 2023 review notes that the triglyceride to HDL ratio is closely related to insulin resistance and central obesity, and is a novel risk marker for metabolic syndrome and all forms of cardiovascular disease. In plain language, a high TG, that is triglyceride by HDL ratio, often above 2 or 3, means much higher heart disease risk, even if total cholesterol looks okay. And then we have the LDL particle size or the ApoB. So we have already mentioned LDL particles above. In practice, ApoB or direct LDL particle, LDL-P test, count those particles. A meta-analysis showed ApoB was the strongest predictor of cardiovascular events and LDL cholesterol was the weakest. Non-HDL cholesterol, which is total minus HDL, is also a better predictor than LDL cholesterol. And this is why guidelines now often use non-HDL cholesterol and ApoB to assess risk, because they capture all the bad particles rather than just the cholesterol they carry. So in summary, do not panic over a total cholesterol number alone. The balance and quality of your lipids matter more. Total cholesterol as a lone metric is the least predictive compared to these ratios and particle measure. Focus on the whole picture. Ask your doctor for HDL, triglycerides, and if needed, ApoB or LDL-P, that is LDL particle. Aim for healthy markers like high HDL, low triglycerides, and favorable ratios. These give a much clearer readout of metabolic and heart health. In the end, it's the patterns and the ratio of your lipids, not just the total number, that best tell whether your cholesterol profile is healthy or not. If you have any doubts, if this is all overwhelming for you, please let me know in the comments below. I'll be more than happy to answer your questions. I'm Akash. Thank you so much for your time.